Of our Friday edition. A very good afternoon to you. This is eNCA, DSTV Channel 43. I'm Dan Moyana. We begin here. Health Minister Dr. Joe Phaahla is visiting the victims of Johannesburg fire incident, which left 74 people dead. Some of them are being treated at the Helen Joseph Hospital. The minister is said to be accompanied by senior officials from both the national and provincial health departments. Senior reporter Moloko Moloto is at Helen Joseph this hour, joining us now live on Today. Good afternoon, Moloko. We know that the minister is headed to Helen Joseph Hospitals, where there are several seriously injured people who survived the deadly fire.
That is very true, Braden. The Minister of Health, Dr. Joe Phaahla, has issued out a media alert informing the media that he will be coming to this particular hospital, Helen Joseph, in Johannesburg. This is one of several hospitals where victims of that inferno, those who survived burn injuries, who had smoke inhalation, and we understand that some of them also had multiple fractures. He will be coming here to interact with some of them, checking on them in terms of progress, whether they are healing and whether something ought to be done to assist them. Of course, this is happening as the process not only to assist those who sustained those injuries, but also for the families of those who died in that inferno to identify their loved ones. You just mentioned the number there. The majority of them are yet to be identified. And we have been told that they have actually burned beyond recognition, which on its own says it will be difficult to humanely identify them. And this is a process that undoubtedly will have to happen through a DNA test. We all know the difficulties in terms of the delays when it comes to the DNA laboratory in South Africa. Is the government in a position to, one way or the other, expedite this process? Those are the questions we will have to pose to the Minister of Health when he gets here. I'm not too sure in terms of the numbers, Braden, as to how many people are in this particular hospital and how many others are at Charlotte Maxeke, for instance, also here in Johannesburg. I was told that others are also being treated at the Chris Hani Baragwanath Hospital.
Yeah, yesterday the CEO of Helen Joseph Hospital told us here on Today that they had 6 seriously injured patients, and as you said, Moloko, some of others who were less serious injured were taken to Chris Hani Baragwanath and other hospitals. Is there any idea at all about the condition of those who are hospitalized? Do you have an idea?
Up to now, not much, Braden. It's quite difficult, really. We were hoping that by now we would have been able to be granted access to speak to some of them, even from their hospital bed, depending, of course, on their conditions. But the visit by the Minister of Health at this facility will certainly afford that opportunity to understand their progress to healing. And of course, as a health professional himself, he definitely will be able to speak with authority in terms of the extent of the injuries and how, therefore, government intends to expedite this healing process. Another big challenge, obviously, Braden, will be about those who survived, those who lost everything. And we know they will not be allowed back into that particular building. The big question is, for those who are refusing to go to the shelters that have been provided by the government, what is the way forward? How is government going to convince them? Is government simply going to allow them to live out in the cold? Because when we were there last night, shortly before we left, there was a group of them who were completely refusing to get into a bus to be taken to the places of shelter. all those particular details, we hope the minister will be able to kind of like bring us up to speed. Having seen the president yesterday visiting the place where the inferno took place, you would assume that the ministers, those who would be dealing with the operations and the finer details around it, will be able to give us more information and details going forward, Braden.
Okay, thank you very much, Moloko. One thing I know is that as soon as the minister is there and is available to speak with the media, we'll come back to you so we can take Dr. Joe Phaahla live here on Today on this Friday afternoon. That's Moloko Moloto at the Helen Joseph Hospital, where we are awaiting the arrival any moment this afternoon of the Health Minister, Dr. Joe Phaahla.